Hello again.
Okay, there. Okay, waiting for. Again, Victor?
Yep, back.
Thanks for rejoining.
So this is actually, you can see, if you check our channel, you can see part 1 and part 2.
Okay.
As I'm too lazy to find the proper software to merge the parts. Okay. Nuno is back. Cool.
Welcome back.
So yeah, so welcome to the second part of the meeting. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, right, it is either us making internal forks, or which I would really like to avoid, right? Or we, at least like for some cases, we support, let's say 0.9 point some version that backports some of the things we did recently in terms of observability. That's what I was kind of wanted to bring for discussion. And I know that also Michal has been doing some work, I think like architectural work, and we need to organize a separate meeting for that because it goes outside of the time scope. And it was exactly regarding the what we've been discussing, that the mapping between GSLB customer source and the ingress. And we kind of made a decision to not support both versions altogether because it was really complex flow between ingress objects and GSLB objects and how to map them. So that's another thing. Yeah, I would like to mention that Michal is working on is getting rid of GSLB as the like customer source, and that this is like proposal, and use the ingress as the kind of source of truth with annotations. That brings questions. Let's say what to do with gateway objects, and do we still need some internal GSLB? Is there still a need for that? But I think we can discuss that in that architecture like proposal review. So Michal is about to send the we'll send the invite. And
Is
but
it
yeah,
this K8GB Lite repository is an experiment to support the
Yeah.
proposal?
Yeah, KGB Lite, basically it's GSLB, removing GSLBs and having ingress as the one single point of truth was just the beginning, but there were so many changes that I made like a big refactor. And there are also the ingress, gateway, or even service are like providers, like a strategy. So we just implement it and gone. It's gonna work. It's ready. There are the things like by default it's tested on the 3 clusters, everything. And there are many changes. Basically, it requires like 2 presentations. One is just about the idea, the vision, what is changed, the changes I made, and the talk about this, the advantages, disadvantages. Basically, thanks to making this demo, I lost tests and Terra tests, so I wrote them again, by the way. And yeah, second part is architecture. There are like huge changes, or project design. There are like huge changes, and basically it requires something like approval or something like that.
Yeah, so this is a just like to give background, right? So the project started with GSLB being a like a single source of true ACR for KGB controller to then yeah create the ingress objects and sync the state between them, and soon we created the possibility to annotate the existing ingress objects with KGB specific annotations, and like maintain the bidirectional sync between those. And it actually happened that so our customers are using the annotated ingress. Quite often it became their choice for using KGB. There are two reasons behind this. First is the airbag, where we require some permissions for the users to create custom resources. And another is, and yeah, with ingress is just, yeah, standard primitive. They don't need to do anything with that. And also many teams, they start adopting KGB with already existing ingress objects. So for them, this is as easy as just adding the annotation, and they can just easily convert the existing Helm charts, existing deployments. So this has been like the major selling factor. And in that sense, GSLB becomes like a shadow object, which we're still using to, to sync the state. And recently, exactly when we found out for some certain occasions, we have like issues that there's with certain events, if you, let's say, create I think ingress, annotated ingress, and like just will be an issue to delete the original one. There were some issues we picked up, and the actual fix revealed that that the bidirectional sync is complex. It can get really complex. So that's why Michal created a kind of a view, a vision to have if what will happens if KGB can like work in like without GSLB and use standard primitives like ingress or gateway API, the gateway object with some annotations. So we can kind of get rid of that complexity. That's kind of the point of the of that architectural proposal. But anyways,
so it will be just single ingress. So currently, as I shared in a chat, we have this exact mechanism of setting the labels and syncing back with GSLB and kind of closing the loop. But what we want to achieve is to get rid of GSLB CRD completely and rely fully on a standard ingress object plus a set of special K8GB annotations.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Exactly.
Same
goes about gateway API and the gateway object.
Yeah,
and,
in future, there will be like a support for gateway.
Route, yeah.
You will use gateway with the very same annotations, and it will work the same way.
That makes sense. Now, what do you think, guys? Vidar, from a end user perspective, will it help?
I think so, because it's always that barrier of starting to use a new CRD. for instance, in our case, we immediately started doing annotations on ingresses because that was just putting something with customize in our actual Git flow and using, we have GitOps, let's just put an additional patch, it's done, you know,
Right.
which is a bit different from building, supporting a whole new CRD in the current GitOps setup.
Yeah, also,
That's great.
Tim usually also mentioned that, and that's true, that for the CRD you need this the type of special airbags, etc. You know, which is in enterprise quite issue. You know, we are happy sometimes that you just can like download the image or something, or install ham, and plus if you need the CRD, it could be a potential problem.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, depending, well, I'm kind of looking from our internal perspective, right? But in corporate environment, usually they have like tight, like restricted airbag controls, and often like you had to ask like for the team to give you these permissions for that new CRD, while with standard primitives you don't need that, right? So you already have your kind of, it's kind of birthright, I'd say. So yeah, but as I mentioned, yeah, since like it's too long for like for open project meeting format, so yeah, I think we'll create separate meeting and definitely invite you guys there so we can review the architecture, review the proposal, and think about maybe corner cases, because exactly the let's say gateway API was one of the questions asked by Iris. So Michael tried to accommodate the solution for that case. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for us. We have to be mindful about the our time. So definitely would like to ask like if there are any breakaways or comments or suggestions.
Any last minute things, folks, especially non-maintainers, our end users?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. I think we'll really focus on wrapping up what's pending on our side and share with you guys to have interesting chats on top of that.
Awesome. Looks awesome. Yeah, and please ping us. We are happy to chime in and help.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you so much. So, like, before the next meeting, I think what is realistically to achieve is definitely the Azure public thing, right? External DNS and package. And if something around like end-to-end testing, that would be like totally amazing, right? But at least packaging should be trivial. And I'll definitely review also the PR from in a core DNS CRD plugin to unblock you, Michal. And yeah, that's roughly like the most achievable, tangible things we can do pretty quickly.
Yeah, looks like it.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank
then.
you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a nice
Bye-bye,
time of the
thanks,
day.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you around.
Happy to
Yeah.
see you. Bye.
Cheers.
Yeah, and Vitor,
Bye.
Nuna, we are waiting for you the next time for sure.
Okay.
And then everything to me. Yeah. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Have a great day.